Okay, in this session, we are going to discuss functions and method in Groovy. So, what are functions and method? So, functions and method in Groovy are essential building blocks that encapsulate block of code. So, we can say function is nothing; it's a block which contains set of statement. Block you can just open curly braces and close curly braces, and you can put those set of statement inside that block that you want to execute at a time. So now you can define a function, yes, no? And function, nothing just like is a self-contained reusable block of code that perform specific tasks. So function in Groovy is nothing we can say function in Groovy is a self-contained block, self-contained reusable block of code and that performs a specific task that perform a specific task. So it means you can define a function. In that function, you can put set up statement and you can call a function whenever you require. So how you can define a function? If you want to defining a function in Groovy, you can use def keyword. So you can define function in Groovy. You can define a function in Groovy using the def keyword. You can use def keyword. Using the def keyword, you can define a function. So, and def keyword, using def keyword, you can define a function and then followed by the function name, parameter, if any required. If parameter required, you can pass and a code block enclosed in curly braces. So let's now we define a function. How we can define function using def keyword, and then you can write function name, whatever function name. And if function expecting any number of parameters, so you can define here parameter list of parameter. If required, you can specify list of parameter. And then curly braces open and close, and here you can write function code. You can write function code. And if you want to return something from this function body, so you can use return keyword. Return keyword is used to return the result from the function body. If you want to return, you can return if required. Okay, so let's try to use it. So if you want to define a function, how you can define function using def keyword. So let's first of all, I define one function with name greet, very simple function. And greet function simply what return, actually return. Now, if you want to return a value from the function body, you can write return keyword and what you want to return. Suppose I want to return hello. So I want to return hello. So we have defined one function greet. And now this is a defining a function. Once you define this function, if you want to invoke that function, you need to call it. How you can call? You can call using the name of function. When you call this function, what happened? The control go to its definition and then it will execute your function body. It will execute your function body. It will execute your function body. And now once function body is executed, now it return what? It return hello. Now once you call this function will give you as an outcome hello. So you can store in one variable. Let's we declare here one variable def message. It returns a message. And now if you want to print that message, you can print. So it means you can check here. So here this is a variable. In this variable, what we are assigning? We are assigning function definition calling statement. It means call this function, execute set up statement, and it return the result. That result you can store in message variable. And if you want to print that message, you can print it. So here we define very simple one function, and this function name is a greet, which not take any parameter, which will take 0 parameter. So let's check here. I have defined this function. Yes, no? Greet function. Okay, it will print hello. Okay, now we have defined, suppose I want to define a function where we want to pass parameter. So suppose I want to give a great message to someone. So you can pass parameter. Suppose it required one parameter name. And now whatever name value you're passing, this is a parameter list. It means before invoking this function, when you invoke this function is expecting one parameter. You need to supply those parameter value. Actually, you need to supply those parameter value. You need to supply those parameter value. So you can supply those parameter value. So how we can supply those parameter value? Okay, let's here we want to supply John as a name. And now I want to use that John value. So you can use interpolation here, dollar curly braces name value. Okay, if you save it once again and check here, demo.groovy, now it will give hello John. So it means whenever you want to call a function, suppose now we want to pass Harry, you can check it. Now it will give greet message to Harry. So this is the advantage. Once you define a function, you can call and you can reuse that function any number of times. So function is nothing, it's a block which contains set of statement to perform specific tasks, and you can reuse that block any number of time. Your function may be return type and non-return type. You can return value from the function body using return keyword, and function may be parameter type, may not be parameter. If required any number of parameter, you can pass those parameter. Otherwise, yes, no, you can ignore the parameter. So suppose we have one requirement, I need to find the sum of two numbers. So whatever number we are passing, we need to require to find the sum of two numbers. So it means here we need to define one function. I give the function name like add. Now this function expecting two parameter because it needs to return the sum of two number. Which two number? So here we can pass two parameter, and now we can return from this function what is sum of both parameters, return a plus b. Now we call this function add function. When we're calling this function, it required two parameters. So suppose I'm passing 5 and 3. Now what did it return? It returned result. So we can store here, we can store result res. Now let's we print that. So print res. So here we have defined one function with name add, which return the sum of two numbers. So you can define a function as per your requirement, and you can call that function. So more better practice, wherever you want to write any piece of code, yes, no, we can define a function. Inside the function, we can write a logic. So suppose I want to define one function, each event function. I want to check whether number is a given number is a even or not. So here I have defined function with name is even because this function will take one parameter and return true or false. If number is even, then return true, otherwise return false. So is even function, so you can pass parameter, it required one parameter, yes, no? So we can pass one parameter. Now we need to check. So you can use conditional statement. Conditional statement you can create using if else. If I'm here we're checking if number is divisible by 2, mod by 2. If you divide any number 2, this is a modulus operator. Modulus operator returns a remainder. It means suppose if you give any number and if you try to divide that number, suppose there is number is a 10, 2 5 is 10, and what the remainder is come? Actually, modulus operator return the remainder. If remainder value comes 0, then we can say number is a even number. So you can verify using how you can verify if number mod by 2 equal 0, then we can say number is a even number, and then you can open curly braces, close curly braces. This is a if block, yes, no? This is a block, and this is a function, yes, no? Within a function we have created if block. Within a if, from the if block, what you want to return? I want to return true if condition is matched. If condition is not matched, then you can define else block. Else is the alternative block for a if. So you can create conditional statement in Groovy, just like in Java you are using if else. Similar, you can use if else in Groovy also. So in if else block, at a time only one block gets executed. If condition is matched, then only if block gets executed. Otherwise, else block gets executed. So if condition is false, then else block executed. Otherwise, else block won't get executed. So my requirement, we want to verify if the number is even, then do this. Otherwise, do something different. So if you want to do something alternative, if condition is not matched, then you can use the else block. So here what you want to return without checking condition also, because I want to do this alternative if condition is not matched. So we want to return false. Okay, so I have declared one variable num value I have assigned as a 6, and then I call this function, and now this function return result. So result equal to is even function, and now we call that num. And now we can print the result. So okay, so if you want to print, we want to print the result. You can save it and run it. Check here. So you can see it is a true. It means this number is even. Okay. So if you want to use println, you can use println. Okay, I want to print in this form string format. So you can use within double quote. So we can say is num. So here we can use interpolation num variable even. So how we can dollar interpolation in the result, we have the result, we can check their result. Okay, so let's save it and clear it and again run it demo.groovy. So you can check, yes, 6 is a even number. So you can define the function in this way. Okay, one more thing. So you can define parameter, yes, no? You can define parameter, but in Groovy we have concept of default parameter also. Default parameters. What is a default parameter? Okay, you can specify specify default values also, default values for the function parameter. So if you want to default value for the function parameter, you can specify default value for the function parameter. So if no argument is passed, for a parameter with a default value, then the default value is used. If no parameter is passed. Okay, check here if no parameter is passed. So I define one function def greet function. So let's here we use default parameter. I give the parameter name, and now I give the default value as a guest. So let's we assign the default value as a guest. So I have defined this function, and this function take one parameter, and let's we define the default value for this function. Now we return hello and dollar curly braces name parameter. Okay, so we have defined this greet function. So while you calling the function, this function expecting one parameter. Suppose if you calling function with no argument, if you're not passing any argument, then default value will be set. Yes, no, for name parameter, it will use default value. Def, you can check message 1, and now you can print message 1. Print message 1. Now save it. Hello guest. But suppose if you want to pass some parameter, so you can pass. So if you're passing parameter, then default value will not use. Suppose I am passing here John. So let's argument here provided. Yes, no? Here argument provided. So let's now we can use message to variable, and now we use. So in case of default parameter, if you're not passing parameter value, then it will use default parameter, default value for that parameter. If you are passing that parameter value, then it will use that value whatever you have passed. You can say hello John. So this is a default parameter concept in function. So you can use default parameter also. Okay. Now we have one concept that is a variable arguments. So we can use variable arguments concept also. What is a variable arguments? Let's understand. Groovy supports variable variable arguments using there are three dot symbol. So using that symbol, yes, no syntax, Groovy supports variable argument. So this allow actually this allows a function to accept a number of argument variable number of argument variable number of argument. Okay, you can pass variable number of argument means you can pass any number of argument. So how we can use in Groovy? So suppose I define one function sum all, and now it can take how many parameters? You can pass any number of parameter. So then you can use variable argument parameter. There are three dot symbol and then parameter. So it means this parameter can hold any number of argument. So we want to find that sum. So we declare one variable total equal to 0. And then what we need to do? We need to iterate one by one element. Actually, internally this act as an array. So which can hold multiple value. So if you want, suppose you have a one container, yes, no, which contain multiple value. In this you have multiple value. If you want to iterate one by one value from this container, then you can use for each loop. So in Groovy, we have one for each loop by which we can iterate one by one value. Okay, let's check here. Suppose this container name is a numbers, yeah, which contain multiple value. So you can write for, and then actually followed by parentheses, then curly braces, open and close. Within a for loop, yes, so you can use in keyword, and after in you can write that variable name from which you want to get one by one value. I want to get one by one value from numbers. So it will take one by one value and will store in one variable. In the left hand side, you can declare one variable in which it will store. So you can check how it will work. So it will take one value from this in this numbers and will store in this variable, because this is a number, yes, no? And then you can use that value within a loop. Again, the loop will be repeated. So loop we can use for repeating process. If you want to execute set of statement multiple times, then you can use loop. If you want to execute set of statement multiple times, then you can use loop. For each loop, actually what does it will iterate one element, you can use again, it will iterate next element, then you can use, it will iterate next element, you can use. So this will continue run until all the element is not iterated. So once all element is iterated, it will terminate the loop. So more better here we can use for each loop whenever you want to iterate one by one element from any collection, yeah, any container. So here we declare variable num in I want to iterate one by one value from the numbers. And now what we want to do, I want to add that number value with total. So total equal to total plus num. And finally, once all element we have added, then we can return the totals. So it returns the sum of all elements. Now we can call.
Sir, sorry for interruption. Hello.
Okay, wait. I want to return some of all element. So here we can pass any number. Now we call this function. How many argument we need to pass? We need to pass, yes, no, suppose any number of argument. You can pass any number of argument. You can pass any number of arguments. Suppose here passing 5 argument. Now def, I declare one variable, a result, and now you can print that result. So now it will receive all the argument and will print the sum of all number. So now you can check it return the sum of all number. So I hope it's clear. Yes, no? What is a function? Thank you.